Hello everyone. Welcome back to Making It Up. I'm Isa and today I bring you something new. I've been sharing the books that I read on my Instagram stories and sometimes on my favorites, but I really wanted to start documenting my monthly reads in video form because I think it's gonna help me stay accountable with my reading goal, but also I think it'll be something fun to share. So I decided that this year I want to start doing like my monthly reads, like what I read in January and stuff like that. So I just want to share what I've been reading with you guys, give you a little review, discuss the book, and just open up a space where you can share what you've been reading and we can just have conversations about books we've read. I love books. I've always loved books. So I wanted to share that with you guys. So please let me know if this is something you think you will like or if I should just stick to beauty here on the channel. But I think it'll be a fun break from all the beauty and I think we're all going to be able to benefit from this one, right? So make sure to let me know, but for now, let's get to some books, shall we? Up first, I have Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Ooh, you guys, I've seen this all over social media. Everyone's been talking about it, and I've been wanting to read it for a while, and I finally was able to during my holiday break, and I read this so quickly. It's unreal. So this is basically a book about a fictitious band. Is that a word? Fictitious? It's a fiction book about a band in LA in the 70s and like how they rose to fame and stuff. And it's told as a interview. So it's all kind of like an interview. You know, you get someone's perspective and they tell the story and the story goes along those lines. I'm doing a really bad job of explaining this, but just think about it as an interview to the whole band and they're telling the story as time goes by and you get everyone's perspective. This is the most unique book I think I've ever read. At first I was like, this is fiction. And then I started reading and I was like, no, wait, this is a real band? Like, what is this? Because I wasn't expecting like the interview format. And then I came to realize that it is indeed fiction. This book is loosely based, from what I've read from my research, on Fleetwood Mac's story, so I think it's really cool. I love the 70s and the whole vibe, and this just transports you back to that time. The characters are beautifully complex. This book is beautifully written. This is just a story about 70s rock and roll and everything that goes with that. I think it's so good. It's a must read if you like the 70s. It's a must read if you like fiction. I think Taylor Jenkins Reid she's a genius, and I think this book is so good. It's a 10 out of 10 for me. And it's also being made into an Amazon series. I don't know when that's gonna be released, but I'm super excited, and that's kind of why I wanted to just read the book. Next book that I read is Atlas of the Heart by Brené Brown. I'm a really big fan of Brené Brown's books. I've read most of them, and when this one came out, I was super excited to read it because I've loved everything she writes, and I think I really resonate with her work, and I think as human beings, we all should. So I was really excited when it came out, but when I actually read it, I was slightly disappointed. Now, this book focuses on human emotions, and it's kind of a map to human emotions. So Brené categorizes certain emotions in different sections and then she breaks down each emotion. And to me, it was fascinating to learn that. I'm a really emotional person and I didn't know there were so many emotions that you could like pinpoint. So it was really eye-opening in that way. And I really loved just going to different pages and learning about certain emotions and their definitions and kind of relating that to my life. But it wasn't told as a story, and I find things to be more engaging when they go as a story. Like there were many stories inside every like explanation, but it wasn't like a continuous story, which is what I like. So in that way I was disappointed because I wanted it to be more like a story and it wasn't. The book was still fantastic. I learned so much. I was really touched by it. Everything that Brené does is amazing. And it's a good book. It's not a book that you have to read completely to understand it. I think you can read certain parts as a standalone, and it's something you can revisit all the time. I think that's why she made it so easy to like pinpoint each emotion in their categories, which I appreciate that. It was a different book from everything she's done before, and I think it's something super useful for us as humans. So it's not my favorite Brené Brown book, but it is really good, and if you're in the search to understand human emotions better, then it's definitely a book for you. So I'd give this book like a 7 out of 10, mostly because my expectations weren't met, but that was literally my fault, so it's still a great book. Next up, I have The Lying Life of Adults by Elena Ferrante. I think she's an Italian author. This is a #1 international bestseller from the author of My Brilliant Friend. I think that's another one of her most popular works that I really now want to read, because this book, it was one of the weirder books that I've read. It almost had like a Normal People feel to it. If you've read Normal People, then you kind of get what I'm saying. This is a book about a teenager, Giovanna, and she's just coming of age, learning the tropes of womanhood, realizing that her parents are human beings and they make mistakes, and it's just about her growing up through her eyes and the eyes of her aunt, which is a very interesting perspective. This was translated from Italian, but it's still beautifully written. Like, there are some books that are translated and you just don't get the gist of them, but this one I think was beautifully translated. I don't know Italian, so I could be completely wrong, but I mean, it's really nice to read, and it was written beautifully. Throughout the story, the main character uncovers family secrets. She deals with a broken family. It's a really raw book. As I mentioned, it's a weird story and it's told within a weird perspective, but it's very raw, and there's a lot of emotions that almost kind of make me uncomfortable when I read them because I feel so seen. I don't know how to explain it. It's fiction, but it's very raw fiction, and you can almost like picture yourself there with her, which is amazing. I love books that do that, and this is an interesting read, and I can understand why it was a best book of the year. There's something about this book that kept me wanting more. Like, at times I'd start reading and she'd get so into detail that I'd be like, what am I, like, I'd get a little bored and be like, okay, we get it, like, let's just skip to the good parts. But something about it just always kept me wanting more, and I think that's one of the best things about books. So honestly, even though it wasn't my favorite one that I read this month, I'd still give it an 8 out of 10 because it was a very interesting read. Last but not least, I read The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Everyone and their mother is talking about this book, but after reading Daisy Jones and the Six, I needed to read more of Taylor's work because I think she's just such a good writer, and I'm obviously gonna read the rest of her books in the upcoming months. But anyways, I read this masterpiece of a book. I have no words. What a freaking good book. Oh my god, it deserves all the hype and all the rave it's been getting. This book basically takes you through Evelyn Hugo's story as a rising actress in the 1950s, and she tells it through the lens of her 7 husbands. Again, it's an incredible story. There are so many good plot twists that don't feel like, oh my god, another plot twist, another plot twist. It's just like perfectly positioned when you feel like you're starting to disengage from the book. Like, she's a genius, I'm telling you. You come into it thinking it's gonna be one thing and you leave sobbing for a good 10 minutes because the ending of this book left me sobbing. I shared that on my Instagram and a lot of people were like, oh my god, I know, I sobbed too. I don't want to spoil the book for you, so I can't really like tell you what it is about other than what I've told you already, but you just have to trust me when I tell you this book. It's a must read. It is by far my favorite book that I read this month, and I thought Daisy Jones and the Six was gonna be my favorite because I loved that one, but this one I read it in 3 days. I was just so into it, I couldn't stop reading. I read it in 3 days, sobbed when it ended. This is a definite 1,000 out of 10. So good. Everyone should read this book. I'm telling you, oh my god, you will love it. It's amazing. And that's a wrap on my January reads. I usually don't read this much, but I had my holiday break and I read 2 books during my holiday break, so obviously I was able to read a little more this month. I usually aim to read 2 books in a month. That's kind of my goal because I want to read 24 books in a year, so that's kind of what I'm going for. If you guys have any reading goals or like book related goals, please let me know below so we can hold each other accountable and just kind of, again, have fun in this space, discuss books, and help each other reach our goals. Again, please let me know if this is something that you're interested in and you want me to continue doing, because I always, aim to create content that you guys want to watch. So please let me know if you do. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you had fun. I hope you learned something new, and I will hopefully see you right here for my next one. I love y'all, and I'll see you soon. Bye! Mwah.